This week, Keith proposes that the government is a series of tubes, and if you've gotten sick from someone licking your face, we discover that you may want to consider prison health care. All that and more on this week's episode of...
Well, we know what time it is. Government's over. It's open. Sound the alarm, robot lady.
Warning. The following podcast is another wasted hour. Warning. The following podcast is another wasted hour.
Don't waste my motherfucking time!
That's right, everyone. The shutdown is over. We are free from the tyranny of not being paid and having to work and all of the terrible things that have for 3 weeks. We're just for 3 weeks. That's it. That's all they could come up with. They spent all that time talking and they were like, no, we should do this the right way, but for a very short amount of time. And that's what they were able to come up with. So, as you know, we were found out to not be, we were not emergency needed for government workers. So we shut down the show.
God.
Yeah. It was not needed. So, we were furloughed, but we're back. We're back now. So
Yay!
yeah, you're probably wondering, well, what did I do with all those extra hours I had that I wasn't wasting? Well, you're in luck, because now you can throw them away and replace them with two ignorant, uninformed, ill-advised, self-deprecating morons ranting about opinions they have no right to have, which are probably wrong and absolutely do not matter. Our goal here at Another Wasted Hour is to convince you that where we hail from, just outside Washington, D.C., which was just didn't exist for a while because it was shut down, is not just a city of politics and scandals, but one brimming with art, music, and culture, and now money, because it is back up and running.
I was kind of disappointed that DC did not descend into like a Mad Max hellscape during the furlough.
I know, as impossible as that may seem. So listeners, now that you know why you're here, turning music lead into music gold, we have Daniel from Alchemical Records.
Hello.
Hey, welcome.
It's good to be back.
Did you get furloughed as well?
No.
No?
I was homeschooled growing up, so I feel a little bit of that same line. Like, just because it's a snow day doesn't mean you don't have school.
Also, Keith, you got to remember, Daniel's a musician. Every day is a furlough for him.
Right. He's a furloughed artist.
Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Right. It's interesting, though, because I think this is fascinating, because it's like the end of a relationship, right? Where you've been in a relationship for, a couple of years or something, and then like things go south and you have that talk, and then she says like, I never actually really loved you. And you're like, wait, I feel like I should have known about this sooner. There was a whole bunch of people that the government was like, you can go home now, we're not going to pay you. And they were like, why? And they're like, you're not really important. The thing you do every day, yeah, we don't really need it. So you're good. You can go home now. That's weird, right?
Well, having worked for the government for a number of years, I actually have to imagine or wonder how many of those people were actually non-essential and how many were people that they thought were non-essential right up until the moment they weren't there.
That's right. Well, we obviously don't need the water boy. I'm so thirsty. Where did the water boy go?
We don't need the guy that actually runs the paperwork from room to room. We can just keep all the people that generate paperwork, right?
It'll be fine.
I imagine it was a lot like an old-timey mail slot in the front door, and the person on the other side just isn't collecting it, so it just starts to pile up.
I still like to think that they're just using the pneumatic tubes, like the old banks used to do, and they're just going. And then what they did is they laid off the guy who keeps the vacuum running, so it's just like, why is this not working? It's non-essential.
People are trying to send their laundry in.
Yeah. And so here's the thing I'm wondering is, so there were a lot of people who still had to work. A friend of mine is with TSA. He had to work. They didn't pay him to do it, which seems rude, but we have a history
Illegal.
of that in our country. So what I wonder is there anyone in the government you wish had been furloughed? Like that you feel maybe was non-essential, but they were still working?
Whoever was still responsible for collecting my taxes.
Right. That's a good one, right? Because we got all these warnings where they said, hey, just so you know, your returns might be delayed. And I'm like, wait, what? I still have to get in on time, but you don't have to give me the money back. Why don't we furlough those people? We could just we'll do this all in June. Let's just do it in June.
Good. I get another couple months to procrastinate.
Yeah, to do nothing and make it.
Yeah, instead of doing all my taxes on April 14th, I could do them on June 14th.
Daniel, do you have anyone?
Let's see. I feel like the people processing the automatic camera.
For speeding and like red
speeding
lights
and stoplights, like that should have been furloughed. You know,
we should have just furloughed the person who adds the film to them.
Furlough the robots.
Yeah, see, these are good ones, right? You know what?
I got a good one. Whoever it is that empties the trash
decide.
cans out of the offices at Capitol Hill.
Just let it pile up.
Just let it pile up.
Yeah, my take would be Secret Service. I think that would push things along. If you need an agreement, right? Just
if you can't keep the government open, there goes your close security detail.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, you can close the government. Good luck. Good luck to everybody.
I like your reverse psychology.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot. How about in the private sector? Is there anyone in the private sector that we should have furloughed while we were at it? How about meter maids?
Good question.
Meter maids? I feel like that's...
Are they private sector though?
I don't know. Are they? I guess they're like state government or county government.
Thought they were like city. At least in Baltimore, they all have Baltimore City on their jackets.
That seems fair. So it's like local government. So is there anyone in the local government we should have furloughed?
Yeah, meter maids.
Yeah, that's good. I think that this is very apparently pretty much anyone who's over the age of 50 and who is a politician in the state of Virginia. We should have furloughed them because apparently every single one of them are wearing blackface at some point in their life. Have you seen this?
Yeah, Virginia should have furloughed whoever was recollecting yearbook information or something.
Right? Yeah, they furloughed some reporters. That's what they needed.
Not essential.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I am, I maybe it's because of when I was born and what I'm like, privy to because of the life that I've led. But that just seems obvious not to do. I don't think I need like a training or anything to be like, you should probably like not mock another race of people. And they're like, yeah, no, that seems good. Like, but
even in high school when it was okay to do it verbally, you didn't do it like that.
What's that?
Like there was always a line. It's like you remember like in high school, at least when you and I were in high school, the kind of like verbal mocking of other people was like, oh, it's funny, it's all and good. And then when we got to college and met new people, we were like, oh, maybe not. I don't. But even then we knew. Yeah. Even then we knew. Yeah. Don't do blackface.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that I ever really got into like mocking any type of race or anything. You know what I was part of though? I know for a fact that at one point in time, like in high school, calling things that we didn't like gay was like just the thing we did, right?
Commonplace.
Yeah. And we didn't mean it like quote unquote that way, but it after it kind of came out, you looked back and you were like, no, that was kind of shitty. Now that I think about it, it wasn't even like that I was being I wasn't consciously in any way being homophobic because I had gay friends. I ended up being a music theater major, so lots of my friends were gay. I was like, we're all good, right? Yeah, cool. But I realized that taking everything that you don't like and labeling it with something that people identify with, that's pretty shitty to do. Like, even if you don't mean to make that connection. And so
exact same situation for me right up until I went to college and, like I said, met new people and realized, oh, okay, never mind, not okay.
Yeah.
Well, at some point you just learn that the best thing to do is just keep your mouth shut and go about your business. You know, like why anybody as an adult might feel the need to pause and take a moment to reflect on the fact that you are different from me and, this is the time and place for me to bring it up. Not sure. It's a little like a 4-year-old just like pointing at somebody and being like, look at that, mommy, which I've also done because I was 4, but.
May I make a suggestion for our listeners? Weather. Talk about weather. Weather is never going to catch back up with you. It's awfully hot out. They don't go, oh, really hot? Is that what you think?
Yes. So if you want to avoid an argument, go up to random strangers on the street, present them a funny news article, and ask them whether or not it should be news.
Right, which is what we do here. So Daniel, we have you on the show because first of all, if anyone's been listening to the show over the years, it's now a couple of years, so we can say years, multiple. At the end, if we have time and I don't stumble over every single word, you'll hear some of our thanks that go out to people like Engineer Adam and Ken Evinger, who does the theme song for the show. McNally22, he did our logo. Justin Rogers did all of our press photos. Figmental Records and Figmental Studios, which actually produce the show and do all the mixing and everything by hand of Adam. And last but not least, Alchemical Records. Alchemical Records has a radio station. They'd played us over the years. I think on Thursdays, I think is what it was.
Yes.
And Daniel here owns Alchemical Records. Has always been really supportive of the local scene and local musicians, and trying to make the DC area better known for music. And now you've parlayed that and kind of pivoted into a brand new music news and entertainment platform, and that's what Alchemical Records is now transforming into.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little about that.
There's a lot of artists in the region. They're working very hard to make something, and
probably music.
Probably. But I find that the biggest disconnect is just engaging more people about it. Like there's tons of great content, if you will, that musicians are putting out, from songs to music videos to album art, and to like the network and the community, people exchanging ideas and trading, behind the scenes tips and tricks to succeed and things like that. It's already happening.
Yeah, of course.
And so I'd really just like to use the whole website and anything else that comes out of it as a platform to share what's already happening.
Well, and I remember you came to me and you came with a really poignant question, which was, where do people go for local area music, right? Where do they find out about shows? Where do they find out about releases? Where do they find out about new bands? Where do you go to get your finger on the pulse of what's happening with music and entertainment that is local to DC, not entertainment that happens to be coming through DC, but that's being born and created here in the DC area? And I said, I don't know. I'm not sure where I would go. I'm sure there's some zines, like some blogs and zines and things like that, and magazines and articles I could look up, but there's not a central place. And that's really the niche that you're trying to like fix here, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a couple of pockets where I say, that certain entities become like hubs.
Mm-hmm.
But it still creates a little bit of a clique and a social circle.
Sure.
And like none of those things are necessarily bad. It just, what makes the DC area great for its music is not any one artist or any one genre.
Right.
It's kind of the fact that there is this relationship that we all have to each other, where we're all 7 degrees from each other, and some of us haven't found out yet.
Yeah.
So a lot of the magic and the mystery of being a musician in the DC area is kind of figuring out, oh my gosh, you've worked with this person too, or you did that same podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a lot of fun. And so that's one of the primary things that we're tackling in the editorials and the journalistic standpoint of the website, is to try to reach a little bit more behind the scenes and get into the personal things.
I think that's great. That's kind of what we're doing here at the podcast as well. We know there's quite a diversity of art and music in the DC area, but getting to actually meet those people and learn a little bit about them is always difficult, because you can only be
because they never respond to the emails.
Right. And then they won't open their window. So that's why we brought you on here, Daniel, is we want to learn a little bit about you and share you with the rest of the community. And we brought you onto the show so that we can do that, and also because you wouldn't open your window.
You were throwing rocks.
Yeah. So you're launching.
I didn't want to get hit.
This is going to be really interesting, because usually what we say is hey, you're a musician, so we're going to put you in a brand new role that you've never been in before. We're going to make you the editor-in-chief of your own brand new media platform. And then you're going to pretend we're going to be your reporters. You're going to decide whether or not the news that we bring to you should make it onto the platform. That's what I usually say, but you're actually launching a media platform. So this is just your job. We're going to make you work for free.
You're making me take a test.
Yeah, we're going to prove you can do it. That's what we're doing. I will warn you that all of these news articles are absolutely true. We found them on the internet, and that's what makes them true. So, but you get to choose which ones would actually make the cut on your news site. All right. So without further ado, let's start with Adam.
First article headline: Doctors said brain dead man was my brother. He wasn't. Let that sink in for a moment.
That guy's my brother. No, he's not. Did they say that that guy was also brain dead?
So here's the scene.
Yeah.
Woman gets the call saying that her brother has been, I think he was in an accident.
Okay.
And that he's in the hospital. She needs to come. And she gets there and they say he's brain dead.
Oh, that's terrible.
We would like you to pull support.
Yeah.
And you go in there and you look.
Yeah.
And whoever it is in the bed looks pretty beat up, but it could be your brother.
Yeah.
And so you decide to end his suffering.
Yeah.
Only to then find out your brother is still alive on the other side of the state.
So you just pulled the plug on somebody else's brother.
Exactly.
I would do that just in general. Like if I could just go into the hospital and be like, who's looking rough around here? Huh?
You just want to go in like Death at the end of Last Action Hero?
Yeah. Like
just whoever you touch on the shoulder just drops.
Yeah, I just go, I feel like there's some unplugging to do around here. Who needs an unplugging?
There you go. Now, if you can keep the government open, good. But if you can't, we unleash Keith into the hospital.
Exactly. I do that anytime that the Mistress of Destruction has to go to the emergency room. Like they're like, oh, is everything okay? She's, well, this, that, the other thing, and I go, which one of these switches turns off the life support? And they're like, she's not on life support. And I'm like, just in case I need to be informed. It's like, stop it.
Just curiosity.
Yeah,
that's
I
all.
just need to know. I'm not saying I'm going to do anything, but if she keeps yapping, I'm just going to probably use it on myself.
But no, so apparently the guy in the bed and the real brother had the same name.
Okay.
I think it was like a different middle name. I'm sorry, one of them actually had a middle name and the other one didn't.
Oh, okay.
And the guy in the bed had his ID and his social security card on him, but somehow they still ended up calling the wrong guy's family. And so now they're suing.
Mm-hmm.
I think quite reasonably.
For killing, for murdering your son or brother or whatever it was. Yeah, I see how that could be. That's going to be an interesting suit, that's for sure. All right, so Daniel, we need to know, is it news?
I think it's news.
Yeah? That would make it into your publication?
I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with music, unless they also.
No, it's the fat lady sung.
Well, that's
that's music.
I'll leave that to the listener to decide.
I think it's news because now I'm going to start writing like all of my personal identifiers on the bottom of my boot or something.
Everybody must now have dog tag style ID.
Yeah, no, that seems reasonable. Yep. Why wouldn't you just get it tattooed? Right? If you get a forehead tattoo, nobody's going to actually like mistake you for anyone. Just saying.
Get it under your toupee.
Right.
I don't know, Keith. We already did the article a couple of years ago about them starting to put like the ID chips in people's hands so that like while they're at the one building, they could swipe in and out.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. What's the stupid square code that was big for a while? You like take a picture on your phone and unlock the QR code.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're about maybe a decade away from all of us having QR codes tattooed on our forehead with like all of our information on it.
That's gonna be so. No, that's so last decade. It's not.
So end of the world.
It'll be something new and fancy. All right. Well then, so you got one on me. So let's see what I can do now. This I like because we've got a politician. We talked about politicians in Virginia doing blackface. This is also related to a politician and faces. So I think this is very topical. A Florida politician has resigned who was accused of licking faces. Yeah. Now, she was exhibiting inappropriate behavior when she licked the city manager's face at a fishing tournament. She suspended the city manager after he filed a formal complaint. And the sponsor of the fishing tournament, where she allegedly licked the city manager, said she had licked his face and the faces of volunteers at other fishing tournaments. Not even that day. When asked for comment, she was tongue-tied.
I see what you did there.
What's that?
God, that's no. I don't want just some stranger come up and licking me.
Yeah, you find that distasteful?
Pretty much.
How long did it take you to think all these up?
Yeah,
Keith?
no, it was. I started last week. So, Daniel, is it news?
Yes, but the real story that we need to cover, the angle, is to find out how many other human cat people exist, and
if that would be the most disturbing conference, don't you think? Like if like you went to Vegas and it was like the people face licking conference. And you just like you walked into Bally's and you just see people licking each other's faces. You're like, oh no, I'm gonna die now. I don't.
This looks like the opening to a very particular brand of pornography that I am just not into.
Right.
See, I would start it off like a big old assembly meeting a la Independence Day style and be like, there's a population of cat people out there licking faces and we need to address this threat.
Yeah, no, she came.
Take it very
she came
seriously.
up to Virginia, the legislature in Virginia, to make a statement about it, and she said this is completely false. Nothing like this has ever happened. And the other legislators responded with, "Ma'am, your tongue is black."
I don't get it.
Because they're in blackface, because they're in Virginia, and she's licking their faces. Yeah. No,
I see where you went there.
I put it together. No, it's good. It's no, trust me. This is solid. This is really funny.
I don't know. I think that particular brand of callback was
It was
I don't know.
a little too far fetched. All right, so you're saying news, and then we need to find the conference. I think that's
Find
fair.
the cat people. Yeah.
No, all right. What else do you have, Adam?
Real life Shawshank Redemption. Ex-con robs bank, hoping to be sent back to prison.
Oh, that's so sad. Did he?
Do you want to know why he wanted to get sent back to prison? Do you want to know? Can you guess why he specifically came to Milwaukee to get sent back to prison?
Beer. They have really good beer.
Daniel, you got a guess?
I would have said prison beer sponsorship. Yeah.
We're going with beer sponsorship. What is it?
Because he heard that Wisconsin's prison system had pretty much the best healthcare system around.
Oh, okay. So he was not feeling terribly well.
No, so this was only 6 months after finishing a 20-year prison stint in Jersey for attempted homicide. And he hops on, 6 months later, he hops on a train to Milwaukee, goes to rob a prison, but then pretty much is telling the teller, no, please call the police.
Robs a bank. If he had robbed a prison, that would have been really good. He'd be like, I'm already here. Just put me in.
My bad. He robbed a bank and then was like, just telling the teller, no, just please call the police. I want them to arrest me. No one's going to get hurt. Just please call the police and arrest me. And they're like, oh, okay, you're back in jail then.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, because he's been having a hard time. He talks about, to the judge, he said, if you remember that scene in Shawshank Redemption where the one old guy gets out, he tries to work and then eventually just kills himself because he can't adjust. He was basically that guy.
Wow.
And now the only way he can get help for some issues he's having was to go back to prison. And he did it specifically in Milwaukee because they have the best prison healthcare.
So he was just institutionalized and then health stuff came in. And yeah, that sucks. Wow. All right. So is it new?
Don't forget he had 20 years to figure out which state had the best,
No, it says it was literally when he was talking to one of his cellmates, I think it says.
Yeah.
And the cellmate was a guy that had been in prison all over the country because he was just a constant felon. And he talked about how in Wisconsin it had the best systems.
That's crazy.
He was a touring criminal, so he should have been doing he was like live shows, right? Like just like walkthroughs or something.
He was doing Hamilton, and it would go from prison to prison. And then he was like, "This one's very nice. I'm gonna stay here." All right. So is it news?
I don't think it's news, but I do applaud the man for moving up.
Nice. Yeah, you traded up.
No.
That's good.
I lost one.
You lost one. That's very, very sad.
I made things a little too real, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
I wouldn't want to share it as news because I wouldn't want anybody to get ideas, you know.
Well,
like
this next story hopefully
the
will
tourism/prison system in Wisconsin would maybe go under.
Yeah. So this next one hopefully will give people ideas. Valentine's Day is coming up. I don't know that the show will be out in time for this, but for Valentine's Day, the El Paso Zoo will let you name a cockroach after your ex and feed it to a meerkat. Yeah. I like this.
I like this.
I applaud this. I think we need more themes like this, right? Where it's like people are going on dates and there's sweet love happening, and then there's a whole group of people that are not at all service. There's a gap in services for these people on Valentine's Day, and these people are people who want to name insects after their exes and feed them to other animals.
So should we name a cockroach after ex-host Victor?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So
I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
As part of their Quit Bugging Me campaign, participants can message the El Paso Zoo on Facebook with the name of their ex. The cockroach will then be fed to a meerkat. After that, they will block you and stop returning your text messages. Isn't that right, Melissa? So.
Oh, God.
So is it news? Is it news, Daniel?
It would be news if they sent the meerkat feces to the person that the cockroach was named after.
Oh my goodness. You wouldn't even know if it was that particular cockroach. I don't know if there's enough poop in the world. I'm just saying. There is a service that'll do that, though. Did you hear about that?
I am familiar with that.
Yeah, there's a website.
I was just trying to
You can
bring
order
it around.
poop and have it mailed to people.
One of our sponsors. If not yet, they will be.
Yeah, no, they totally should be our sponsor.
We'll totally
I've always been
have
tempted
them
by the
come
one
on.
site that will send a bag of gummy dicks.
Right. Gummy dicks, yeah. There's like a glitter bomb one, isn't there? Like,
Yep.
Would you rather have a bag with a lot of tiny gummy dicks or one really big gummy dick?
I would go with the little gummy dicks because I can put one in my mouth and people won't know about it. But the whole time I'm eating a giant gummy dick, I have to have a giant gummy dick like in halfway in my mouth. And I just have to be like, this is good. We're okay. We're fine.
See, I'm going to go the opposite way because then I would totally just go up on Facebook Live and just do a total Nick Offerman style, just staring into the camera, deadpan, slowly eating the giant gummy dick.
Yeah, that's the other thing you could do.
Just from that video alone, Facebook will have to create an uncomfortable react.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It looks like maybe Poop Senders. That's who we probably want. Poopsenders.com. If you could hook us up, poopsenders.com, we would like you as our sponsor so we can send poop to the bad guests. All right, so is it news? You said no.
Is it news?
Unless we send poop, right?
Yeah, I think if we could do that, if we could follow it all the way back, through the meerkat's intestine, I think it would be news. But
okay. You're very specific. I feel like you've been hurt before, Daniel. Do you need to talk? It's okay. We're here for you.
that's why I'm on this show is, talking to humans.
No, I understand. You got to get it out. There's closure that needs to occur. All right, Adam.
All right, so we're starting to run a little low on time, so we're going to enter the lightning round.
Yeah.
Where we're just going to throw some headlines at you. If you have your questions, we might have some answers.
Boom,
Man
boom.
finds hand grenade, brings it to Taco Bell.
This isn't wrong, actually, because I've gone to Taco Bell several times and brought a grenade to my toilet. So
Yeah,
it's pretty much
sounds
the same
justified.
thing.
Sounds justified. Let's call it news. It's justified.
All right.
Hooray!
All right, I've got the State Department on Thursday announced that a former Fox News reporter would lead its agency in charge of efforts to counter foreign propaganda and disinformation. Let that
It sounds like
sink in for a second.
I mean, it sounds like news, but it's somebody else telling you that that's news, right?
It's the State Department choosing a former Fox News reporter to prevent propaganda and misinformation. Just
sounds complicated.
Yeah, well, shit. All right. So is it news?
That's totally news.
All right,
yeah,
it's news.
Keith, do you remember the name of the Baltimore gang member that got arrested last show?
Skippy McDoolittle.
It was one Doo-Doo Butt Ward.
Oh, the other gang. That's a different gang. Yeah.
This week's rapid fire article: Baltimore gang member nicknamed Butt Juice sentenced to life in prison.
That was the same gang. They're in the same gang. They have to be. Yeah.
Or a very particular set of rival gangs.
Right. That go to conferences where people lick each other's faces. That's what I think is happening. They're part of that group. I'm sure of it now. I'm absolutely convinced. All
but
right.
Daniel, is it news?
Yeah, is it news?
it's definitely news.
Definitely news.
Be on the
All right.
lookout.
All right.
All right, Keith, it's yours to tie or lose.
All right. Okay. So we're only supposed to do headlines, but I do have an audio clip for this. I'd like to share with you. Okay. Let's see. I'm taking my microphone. I'm putting it down to my computer here because,
Oh, I'm going to hate you so much when I go to try to mix this
we're
shit.
very high tech. Here we go. You hear that?
Not really?
So a freighter docked on Lake Superior has an hour-long air horn malfunction.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no. Oh no. It's almost like when you go to a lunch break and you come back and the PA's just been feeding back for God knows how long.
Yeah, that's the clip of it.
You're going to have to send me that audio file separately because otherwise the audience is just going to hear silence and then you going, you hear that?
Yeah. All right. I will send you. I'm going to send you this website so you can steal it. But yeah, it's just a horn from a ship going on for an hour. Like, imagine just, I'm trying to imagine like what that timeline looked like where the horn started going off and the people on the ship were like, oh my God, what the hell? Oh, geez, what's wrong with the horn? And they start hitting things and stuff. I would assume around 25 minutes in, they're going, this is just going to happen. We just have to own it now. Because I don't even know what you do. Do you call someone? Like, do you call like, hi, you've
The
reached
National Fog Horn
yeah, you've
Hotline?
reached horn repair. And you're like, hi, yeah, my horn is, sir, I can't hear you. What are you saying? The horn is going off. It's been an
Sir,
hour.
can you turn the horn off so I can hear what you're saying?
The horn off. It's going off, so I'm calling you.
Sir, I can't understand a word you're saying. You're going to have to lay off the horn.
There's a horn going off.
Can you go
To speak
inside
to a
or something? This is really
I'm
annoying.
inside right now. It's a ship. There's a horn. We don't have
Sir, if this is a prank call, I'm going to call the police.
I'm so horny. Yeah, I know we were just supposed to do headlines, but I can't imagine what that had to be like.
I feel like somewhere there was somebody in a padded room, right?
Yeah.
In a straitjacket that came out of that room wondering why everybody else was so upset.
Just like, what's up? No, I hear this all the time.
Yeah, what's the big deal? What are you guys all upset about?
So is it news?
I'd call it news because it would be hard to ignore.
That's true.
So you guys are tied. What does
It's
that
like
mean?
the longest NHL goal ever. Right? They
Oh.
score. I wish this would stop now. I mean, I was excited about the goal 45 minutes ago.
It would be like the music when the baseball player is coming out to bat and they play their
Yeah.
music, but there's the PA system just gets stuck, so it's gonna be like 9 innings of the same theme song.
Right.
Oh, God.
It's just
Oh,
9 innings
God.
of one line. Just never gonna give you up. 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 And you're like, stop! sir.
Oh,
Thank you
God.
for calling Meyer Emco. How can I help you? The stereo is stuck. Sir, I can't hear you. There's obviously some music in the background. It's very loud. I know we can't turn the goddamn stereo off. Are you Rick-rolling me right now? No, it's the stereo. All right, so we're tied up. Nobody wins, which is basically how we sum up
The theme of this show.
Yeah, the entire show is the same way. All right, so moving on. This is where we usually play like a track from your band or from a particular musician. But we're really here to talk about other musicians, which I think is interesting. So this is a bit of a different day for us. Tell us a little bit about, you said this launched in 2018. You obviously had Alchemical Records before that, but this new pivot that you've done as a platform for music and news and entertainment happened in September. What's happened since that?
The thing that excites me the most, I think, is being able to tell people, hey, I'm doing this very public, this very public thing, and I'm rebranding and I'm changing, and then having a lot of people volunteering to contribute in some way. So I've had Chad Lesh of Stone Driver come on board to do an intro for a video, and like filming some upcoming projects. I've had Mark Beeson from 101 RPM, who plays bass for Scott Kurt and Memphis 59. You guys had him on the show.
Yeah, we
recently.
had him as the Jack Pine or something like that, I think was his project.
Jack Pine, his solo project.
Yeah.
The Jack Pines. And so he's doing the web development, him and his wife. I'm working on developing a comic book, and I put it out there in the DMV Musicians page, the Facebook group that, I was looking for people that had some interest in comics or background in comics. And so Alex Levy contacted me and said, this is what I do. And he showed me his website, and he's a musician and a comic book cartoonist.
Oh, really?
So
that's pretty cool.
It just seems like, yeah. And hopefully that's, we can do a lot more of that, because I think that by getting more people with different talents involved, as well as so a lot of us are musicians and really enjoy an opportunity to stretch or to express creativity in other ways. And so I think that there's a lot of ways for people to contribute or to showcase their talents or.
So you're saying that it's not really just a site for music and news and entertainment. It's not just that. It sounds like there's also a place for a lot of collaboration between artists.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the end vision in that I hope to see, which I think will come as I build trust and better, I guess, professional relationships with artists. But what I hope for the long term is that it can be an umbrella for somebody who wants to be a musician and an actor, who wants to work with somebody who is a musician and a film director, and we could put together some original video content, and use the website as a platform for debuting, some unique original content, or a place, for example, to house just like a landing page for all of the great podcasts that are recorded around the Beltway.
I've only heard of one.
Well, I know.
Yes.
Well, see, that's the disconnect, and that's what we have to, what we really want to do is put Another Wasted Hour in line with other people who are, engaging the community, and make it so that way, if you're a fan, that you can, come to one location and catch a little bit of everything.
For the record, the one that I've heard of that's fantastic is DC Music Rocks. That's the podcast. Brian doing a fantastic job on that one. We are just riding his coattails. So that sounds fantastic. So if people want to find out more, you can go to alchemicalrecords.com. That's ALCHEMICAL, correct? Did I do that right?
MOUSC.
Yeah. So yes, like an alchemist, but what an alchemist would make, I guess, an alchemical.
Yeah, I actually get that question a lot. So the reason why it's alchemical instead of just alchemy is a way to distinguish it, of course, from other things that are like alchemy related, but also when you say alchemical, it refers to the process. So we're not really trying to leave, turning lead into gold into some mystic thing. There's processes and formulas for that kind of shit.
No, I understand that. So yeah, go check out alchemicalrecords.com and see all the things that are brewing there and all of the art and music and collaboration that's happening. And that will be going on through 2019 and hopefully for a long time after that.
Yeah, we have a big relaunch planned for May.
Excellent.
So the website will have a soft relaunch and then a hard relaunch in May.
Great.
We'll have a comic book that'll be part of the free comic book day, May 4th.
A giant banner that just says Another Wasted Hour is amazing. Obviously, that needs to be on there.
Do you think your launch is going to be able to compete with all the "It's going to be May" and "May the Force be with you" memes on Facebook that day?
That's true.
We're not going to wait until May to tell people that it's happening.
All right, so that brings us to the next section of our show. You may be aware of this, but we launched our very own game show, and it is called Please God Just Get One Right. Speaking of music,
speaking of great music that's being featured,
speaking of musicians that need to collaborate with someone, that is written by Adam. So, we're going to give you 6 different trivia questions on a subject that was selected by the guest before you. So I don't know if you ended up listening or not. But
you'll have to remind me who to send my hate mail
Kat
to.
Janice. That's who you'll be sending your hate mail to. She is very lovely, but I can get you her address so you can send her poop from a meerkat.
Thank you. Yes, from a meerkat with cockroach.
So are you ready for, so you're going to try and get just one right. It's not easy. But no matter what the result, we are going to need a category from you. So think about that, because you'll be able to pass the hatred and embarrassment that balls up inside of you from failing on to our next guests by giving them a category to work with. So are you ready for your category today? I feel like this is a pretty decent one. There are some really difficult ones. This one I felt was better than some. You ready?
Ready.
Rocks indigenous to Virginia.
Ooh.
Yeah, so at least it's nearby, right? So there's a chance of that. So Adam, do you want to get started?
Sure. One of the few rocks named after a county, what mineral was a key economic resource after it was discovered in Roseland in central Virginia in the early 1900s?
It's not easy.
The look on your face right now.
Yeah, he's like, I hate this show. I hate these people.
I was thinking, I was kind of optimistic. I was like, I've seen a lot of rocks in Virginia. I think I could get this. Now I'm not so sure. Let's see. Roslyn. Let's see. I don't know Virginia county names as well as you might expect.
There's a lot of them. It's not an easy one. Yeah. Down in central Virginia.
In Roseland. Gosh, I wouldn't have a clue.
You toured around a whole bunch. I figured maybe you might have driven through some of these.
Nothing stood out to me like you're entering the county named for its famous indigenous rock.
Yeah, that's not really a
shows
sign.
you're touring to all the wrong places.
Yeah, that's right. You need to visit all the indigenous rock places.
The indigenous rocks I visit are local bands.
That's
the
style of music I like to think that you play. Indigenous rock. All right. So any guesses?
No, not a clue.
Right.
The answer we're looking for is Nelsonite.
Yeah, Nelsonite. All right. So
sounds like a suitcase.
I know. Exactly.
Nelsonite.
Located in Mount Solon, Virginia, these 120-foot tall limestone formations are better known as
stalactites and stalagmites.
Good guess. They're not in a cave.
Not in a cave.
120-foot stalactite would be huge, for the record. Can you imagine that?
I'm sure there's a selfie being taken right now.
I mean, it's like a 12-story stalagmite. All right, so stalagmite, stalactite is not correct. It is natural chimneys. That is a There's a rock
Ooh.
formation over in Mount Solon, Virginia. Apparently, it was originally under an ocean, and then when the ocean receded, these were left there. They're quite stark looking. You know, these very long columns of stone. So, go check that out sometime if you ever.
I'll do that.
Look at rocks. All right, Adam.
Virginia is separated into 5 geologic provinces. Can you name all 5?
Can you name 2?
Think back
Name
to
one.
grade school science class.
I mean, are you talking about like sedimentary?
That's a type of
That's
rock.
type of
Igneous.
rocks.
That's not a geologic
What are you?
province.
A geologic province, like Appalachia.
Oh, that's close enough for one. I'll give you that one.
Sure, Appalachian Plateau.
Gosh, what is it? There one. Isn't the Four Corners like part of it?
The Four Corners. I believe that's like out in the like west, isn't it? Like
We're talking about Virginia.
yeah, we're like Utah and Wyoming or something, like where they all meet. There's like a Four Corners there, like where you can stand in like 4 states.
Yeah, I put a quarter there. I had to pay taxes in all 4 states.
All right, any more guesses?
No, I can't. I don't think I've got. Give me what you got, Adam. What's the rest of this?
So they are the Appalachian Plateau, Valley and Ridge, Blue Ridge, Piedmont, and the Coastal Plain.
I probably could have gotten Blue Ridge if you'd given me a hint, but
I mean,
As soon as I read that on,
we gave you
Go
a
ahead,
hint.
dude.
It's rocks. The fact that you didn't
As
guess
soon-
mountains is not my fault.
the fact that you don't forewarn anybody what test they're
Yeah.
about to take and to study for it is really
it is
rude.
It's really shitty of us.
because it gets really expensive to buy all those shitty gifts in the bag of fun. So we want to make sure we don't have to buy them every week.
Yeah, exactly. So, on a scale of 1 to we are real dicks, how would you rate the experience so far?
I'll let you know depending on what animal poop I
Right.
send you.
On a scale of tiny gummy dicks to 1 giant gummy dick, where would you put our show?
A gift box.
All right.
Yeah. About gift box size. Like a tennis bracelet.
Oh, that's nice. Thomas Jefferson once called this 215-foot rock formation, quote, the most sublime of nature's works. He liked it so much that he purchased it from King George III in 1774. What state park is this formation now a part of?
Great Falls.
Oh, good guess. That is an excellent guess. Natural Bridge State Park. Yeah. That is but I like, you know what? Great Falls, I think, is a really good educated guess on that one.
I just figure, that'd be a great piece of property
It would,
to
yeah.
own, So
Oh, good guess.
All right. What do you got, Adam? We're getting towards the end. There you go.
Nelsonite.
Nailed it! Yeah!
I am paying attention in
Well
class,
done.
I promise.
Very simple one for you. What is Virginia's
Yeah.
official state rock? You got it.
Next time I see you, you can put your hand in my sack and pull out something fun. Nicely done.
So,
I'd
if
use
you
that as
were
kind of
in
a trick
studio,
question, 'cause I
we'd
was
give
gonna see
you
if anyone's
access
paying
to
attention.
Uncle
So,
Archie's
well
sack
done.
of fun, but you were
Keith-
too lazy to drive
Keith,
over
if
to
you
Reston,
just let
so
me,
no
make
sack
you
of fun
saying
for you.
that you give me permission to put my hand in your sack as like a text message ringtone I can put on Zedge. Like if you just let me do that, we'll call it even.
That seems fair. Yeah. All right. Last but not least, you got one. Let's see if you can double it up. Stretching over 3 acres, this organ can be heard over an area of 46 acres and uses what rock formations to produce tones?
I can send you that file, Daniel.
That would be stalactites and stalagmites, right? Because that's the cavern in gosh, that's on 81, isn't it? I know where that is.
Do you?
I don't know what it's called though. I don't. the natural organ.
Natural organ.
Isn't that what it's called?
The question was what the formations were that it used. And you're right, it's stalactites. It's Luray Caverns. They created an organ that uses soft rubber mallets that tap stalagmites whenever you touch a key on the organ, and that produces a particular tone because of the size of the stalactite. Do you know the difference between a stalactite and a stalagmite?
I know that one's pointed up and one's pointed down.
Do you remember? Do you know how to remember it?
I think it's tie is high.
That's one way. Yeah. I was taught a stalactite is hanging on tight to the ceiling so it doesn't fall, and a stalagmite might reach the ceiling.
If you're not careful, this won't be wasted hour. It'll be an educational.
Oh God. Okay, balls.
Let's move on.
You might be part of a particular conference. All right, so you got 2. That's amazing. Good job.
I think the way I was taught it was if you fall on one of them, your ass might hurt.
You got 2
afterwards.
right. So you may want to give him an easy one, or you might want to just try and really hardball it so that you look even better.
How about Kool-Aid flavors?
Kool-Aid flavors. All right. I like this. It's like there's enough information out there that we can create create questions about it pretty easily, and it's obscure enough that a lot of people won't know some of these things. But at the same time, it's so prevalent that people are going to be really mad when they don't know those things.
True story. My mom won a quote unquote lifetime supply when we were kids. And to a degree where I still can't drink like traditional cherry red Kool-Aid to this day because
it's just dose. It's just like that that horn going off at the ship where you're just stop with the cherry. No more cherry.
My body instantly rejects it. It's awful.
All right, so that is interesting. We should have kept that for our stories at the end of the show.
Oh. Well, that was far away if it counts.
That's true. Speaking of which, so you've now officially won. Please God, just get one right. I know that will change your life forever. We now know that next week we'll be asking our next guest about Kool-Aid flavors. Now we're going to find out a little bit more about you, beside the fact that you are you have PTSD when it comes to cherry Kool-Aid. In a segment we like to call Near and Far.
Far again? Far. See?
We've got one already on the calendar.
Understand?
So as long as they don't actually cancel, which seems to be the theme this year for some reason, we should be fine. All right. So
by the way, awfully bold of you to assume we'll have a guest next week.
Let's start with Far. We want to talk about your first signing. We know that Alchemical Records started off as an actual record company, and now it's pivoting into a music news and entertainment platform. So we're going back in time, I assume around 2009 or a little earlier than that.
2009 is the date that I released my first record, and when I released, I wanted to do a self-release, so I made up Alchemical Records so I could put a record label on the back of my
That's
CD.
Reasonable.
And then it just became a thing that people saw and inquired about. Our first signing was actually originally somebody I met in Virginia. I was doing a Richmond radio show with the DJ Josh Urban,
otherwise known as Indigenous Rock. DJ Indigenous Rock.
DJ Indigenous Rock, Josh Urban. And he took me to a record store in Richmond, and that's where I ended up meeting Spencer Joyce. And he was still very young and had some new songs he wanted to put out, and they were very raw. And I said, you can wait and spend your whole life trying to perfect it, or you can put it out there, and let the people decide if they like it. And so that kind of encouraged him just to send me some samples, and we moved forward in trying to promote him as a musician, and he's still playing pretty regularly.
That's awesome.
up in Annapolis now.
Very cool. And you said then your second signing was up in Baltimore. Is that right?
Yeah, I had a signing in Washington, D.C. with Andrew Ullman, Johari, who's out in Nashville now. And then I had a signing with the Collaterals up in Baltimore and with Area 52 up in Baltimore, Crawling Manifest from the Eastern Shore. Those are like, I was trying, just to continue to work with people that were excited to move forward and excited to try to implement the ideas, excited to implement the community. It wasn't so much that I was focused on any one genre. It was just like eventually somebody else who knew somebody else in another band would kind of come around and want to know how to get involved. So
it's kind of a record company and also a consortium of musicians that were all helping one another and collaborating.
Yeah, I mean, I think DC's punk community was kind of the same
arguably.
thing. But a little bit more in the neighborhood, whereas, being in Waldorf, I have to travel everywhere to...
There's not a lot out there in Waldorf. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what Discord ended up being, right? Just a bunch of bands that kind of thought the same way and decided that they'd all kind of join forces. So your Near story speaks to kind of what Alchemical Records is moving to now, which is music, news, and entertainment platform. So when people go up to alchemicalrecords.com, they'll see this kind of new iteration, especially in May when everything relaunches. But you say that you already did your first interview with this new entity.
I did. Yeah. So I actually conducted my first interview with Stone Driver out in their practice space and studio in Virginia. And it was really just epic. For me, it was fun to be back into it. I've done some writing and some publishing with some other companies, but this was the first time for me to like have an idea. Like I'm conducting the interview and it's for my company, and being involved as a writer and a publisher and trying to think about the ways to use different medium.
Did that make you nervous? Like playing this kind of new role that you hadn't done before? Like you'd been up on stage, you'd played music, you've done all of these other things, booked gigs, but you've never had to like actually be in charge of an interview, right?
Well, I've conducted interviews, some in person and some on the phone, just not like for my flagship company.
Okay, yeah.
So I think there's a lot that makes this monumental, not necessarily like scary for me, but it's exciting. It's exciting to go into that scenario as like trying to set an example for the kinds of content that I think that other future journalists of ours will be able to, to implement. So they'll see the variety of the content that I produce, from really being with a band and hitting the record button for 2 hours, and they'll, be able to get hopefully a good split of video and audio and editorial content. And that's what I'm putting together now, and probably will show up on the website within a week or two.
Well, the big question is, so people can go up to alchemicalrecords.com and go check that out by the time this comes out. You probably asked them maybe like kind of what their influences were and the things that inspired them. Did you happen to ask them if they would prefer a bag of small gummy dicks or one giant gummy dick?
No, but I think that we should tag them when you publish this, so that way we can.
Yeah, Stone Driver seems like
tie that in.
They seem like a giant gummy dick kind of like group. I don't know.
They would probably want one gigantic gummy dick so they could all share it.
Stone Driver, you've heard it straight from Alchemical Records. You guys want one gigantic gummy dick to share, and we're out of time. Couldn't have done that any better. Thank you very much for spending an hour with us, Daniel. Did you have a good time?
It was great. I always have a good time.
We did too. Please like our posts, follow us, retweet us, and share the show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anything else you can find that allows you to put media on it, like, I don't know, alchemicalrecords.com. We cannot do this without you. Also, don't forget to review us on Facebook, iTunes, and Google Play. Give us 5 stars or 10 stars on a 5-star system. Whatever you can do. Yeah. If you're an artist, musician, or culture creator in the DC area, we want you on our show. Email us at booking@anotherwastedhour.com. As I said before, thanks to all of the people who have helped us out. Engineer Adam, Kevin Evinger, McNally 22, Justin Rogers, Big Metal Records, Big Metal Studios, and Alchemical Records for all their contributions. Most of all, thanks to Alchemical Records for wasting a perfectly good hour with us. This has been another wasted hour, and if you just realized that, don't blame us. We warned you.